Hi, welcome to Zgadgetreview. Obviously, I'm not a car guy. You can tell by my Mackie video, which you can see here or in the description section. I did that more as a joke, just so if you didn't get it, if you've seen it and you didn't understand why I did that, that's why I did. So I'm not a huge car guy. I do enjoy cars. I like cars, but I'm not someone who obsesses over cars and knows every single piece about cars. The reason I'm going to be talking about the Tesla Model S is because I consider Tesla Model S or Tesla in general more of a tech company than a car company. So the Tesla Model S finally got a redesign, and I guess it was due for one, right? The car hasn't had a redesign in many years. And I guess the company also wanted the car to look more in line with what the rest of the cars look like right now. So I made some changes to the exterior of the car, nothing crazy, again, to kind of look more like the other cars in the Tesla lineup do. But the biggest changes that took place are inside the car. So let's take a look at those. Clearly, there are big changes in the interior of the car. If you have seen what the Tesla Model S used to look like, immediately everything inside the car looks different. Some of the biggest changes are that infotainment screen and that steering wheel. Let's talk about that steering wheel first. So the steering wheel is a Yoke style steering wheel, not to be confused with a joke. I'll be here all week. Getting back to the steering wheel, looking at the steering wheel, it does look cool. But then when you start thinking about how you drive, just the everyday use of the car, there are some things that immediately become a little useless about this steering wheel. First of all, when you're driving, most people rest their hand on the top of the steering wheel or at the bottom of the steering wheel. Or if you have both hands on the steering wheel, you put your hands on top, especially if you're sitting in traffic and you're not doing anything. This will force you to have your hands down here or here, which becomes uncomfortable. Or I guess rest them on top. But then having your hands like this is not as comfortable as having them like this, because you're pretty much having, I have long arms, right? So I'm talking my own experience will be me having my arms completely stretched over this thing, which isn't that comfortable or relaxing. The other thing is when you're turning, you're used to, you turn like this, one hand or two hands, you do this motion when you're turning. Turning this will require you to do this and to one hand, to pretty much use one hand and then the other hand when you're turning, or I guess when you're slowly turning, or do the turns from the bottom, which also seems awkward. I don't know. This whole thing seems pretty awkward to me. I don't think it's illegal. Several publications reached out to the NHTSA to ask about the steering wheel, the legality of the steering wheel. So one of the things that they respond is pretty much that they don't know yet until they actually can test it or talk to the manufacturer, in this case Tesla. And the other thing that is also interesting is that the term steering wheel has been substituted by steering control. So technically, you don't need to have a steering wheel that's shaped like a wheel based on the NHTSA's definition of what a steering wheel is. So technically, this could be legal as long as it's safe. Some of the things that we can see here is that there are no stocks. How does the car drive or reverse? So we have a tweet from Elon Musk that says, "No more stocks. Car guesses drive direction based on what obstacles it sees. Context and nav map. You can override on touchscreen." I guess with Tesla trying to make more of a self-driving car, it makes sense that it will have this feature. What about those people who want to drive their car, that don't want to be driven by the car? There's people that do enjoy driving a car. What happens for those people? And I get that you can override it and use the touchscreen, but I will think that using a touchscreen will be kind of annoying versus having a tactile button like other cars have nowadays, or a shifter. And there's something that Electrek found, which is an internal document that talks more about this self-shifting car. The vehicle uses its autopilot sensors to intelligently and automatically determine intended drive modes and select them. For example, if the front of the Model S X is facing garage wall, it will detect this and automatically shift to reverse once the driver presses the brake pedal. This eliminates one more step for the driver's of the world's most intelligent production cars. After you drive without the PR&D stock stick for a few days, it gets very annoying to go back and use a shifter. Going back to the steering wheel and getting a closer look of that steering wheel, it looks like everything is going to be controlled with buttons on the steering wheel. Now, these buttons look like soft touch buttons, which is not ideal. I love tech. I love the idea of this car and everything. But you know what? Sometimes great ideas in tech don't work because they are not practical. They're not suited for everyday use. I'm looking at you, Google Glass. Having these buttons, as you see them here, you have horn, I think that's autopilot, and then voice command. I understand having voice command there, windshield wiper as well, but the horn, how, hey, move. My windshield wiper is going instead. That's not what I wanted to do. And it's also seems like a distraction. Like you have to look down, because as much as you might get used to using those buttons, I mean, all cars nowadays, a majority of cars, I will say, have buttons on the steering wheel, and you get used to them and where they are placed and stuff. The difference is that those buttons, you can feel them with your fingers because they're different. And so you can feel the position with your finger and choose what button, because your brain learns up its volume, down its volume down on at the bottom, whatever it might be. But this being all smooth, it doesn't really allow you to tell where things will be, which I think will end up having a lot of user error when you press something that you don't mean to press. So I like the idea. I would just prefer it if these buttons were actually sectioned and like maybe the icons were raised so you could feel them with your finger and kind of get an idea of what it is. Now, this image of a regular steering wheel comes from Motor Trend. In the article that I got this from says that they found these images of the new Model S with a regular steering wheel buried within the source code of Tesla's website. So if this is true, then it means that Tesla probably will provide an option of a regular steering wheel. Next, let's talk about that infotainment screen. It's going to be a 17-inch cinematic display with 2200 by 1300 resolution, ultra bright true colors, exceptional responsiveness, and left-right tilt. So it looks like that screen is going to be a mini computer. You're not only going to be able to play Witcher 3, but you're also going to be able to play Cyberpunk 2077. So this is going to be running off an AMD RDNA 2 GPU. It's going to be using the Navi 23 GPU. Tesla claims that this system allows for up to 10 teraflops of processing power, which is on par with a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, I guess. So technically you have a next-gen console in your car. Looking behind the steering wheel, it looks like the back of the steering wheel is going to actually keep that instrument cluster, so you won't have to rely on that tablet the whole time as that Model 3 does. So another thing that's going to change on the Model S is how you control the AC in the car. And this was a little controversial when the Model 3 came out and it just didn't have any buttons or vents to control as people are used to. And a lot of the complaints were that it was hard to control the temperature using the infotainment screen. And it looks like the Model S is going to do that as well. As you can see here on this picture, it says perfect environment, clean, powerful, yet invisible cabin conditioning, tri-zone temperature controls, ventilated front seats, and HEPA filtration cab standard. So if you weren't a fan of the idea of controlling everything on the infotainment when it came to AC and other things that the car does, this is what you're going to be getting if you were thinking of getting a Model S. And another thing that looks like they added in the front console is wireless charging. So you'll be able to charge your phones as long as your phones are compatible with wireless charging. In my opinion, more cars should do this. All cars should do this. So then we have the second row, which according to them is redesigned seating for 3 adults with extra legroom, headroom, and stowable armrests with integrated storage and wireless charging. It also looks like from that image that you are going to be able to play some games. It's going to be compatible with wireless controllers, so I'm assuming Bluetooth compatibility. Looking at the second row, it doesn't seem like playing from that screen will be that comfortable. I don't know. I guess for an adult, I don't think it'll be that useful. I guess for a kid, it will be a great distraction. And I guess most likely who's going to be sitting back there are going to be kids. So And last but definitely not least, and one of the cooler things in this thing as well is, it says your best audio system, a 22 speaker 960 watt audio system with active noise cancelling offers the best listening experience at home or on the road. That is pretty cool. So that means that this car is going to have noise cancelling in the cabin. I guess it makes sense that they will have this because, as we know, and this is not a knock on Tesla, this is just the truth, they haven't been able to perfect or figure out a way to line up their doors and windows. We've been seeing those mistakes pop up in many Tesla Model 3s. And, I'm assuming that will create some road noise inside the car. So I guess if you cannot line up your car the right way, best way to fix it is with software. What do you think about the new Model S? Is this car more appealing? What do you think about the steering wheel? Is that steering wheel something that concerns you, you're excited about? What about the fact that it doesn't have a stalk or a shift stick? Let me know in the comment section. That's it for me. Go ahead and subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Go ahead and hit that bell so you can be alerted every time we have new videos. And thank you very much for watching.